as I mentioned, this series is created by Rian Johnson, who is behind Knives Out and most recently Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery on Netflix. Two really, really incredible whodunit stories, mystery stories, definitely calling back to the days of Agatha Christie stories that we're seeing really sort of extrapolated and spun into new remixes in this day and age. And Rian Johnson has kind of been at the forefront of that. But with Poker Face, he's leaning into that whole aspect of a crime sort of mystery thriller series, but he's doing something a little bit different as opposed to what we see out of maybe Knives Out or Glass Onion, which are considered whodunits. This is actually Poker Face, a How Catch 'em, which hasn't been used that much lately in the sort of television medium. But the How Catch 'em storytelling method was popularized with the Columbo series, which you would basically have the crime that was shown at the beginning of the story, usually identifying the perpetrator. And then the rest of the story is with our protagonist somehow figuring out to solve the mystery. They're attempting to do their detective work to figure out the mystery. But we're typically shown the crime right from the get-go. We know who the perpetrator is, and then we're just mostly following along the journey to see, well, how are they going to get caught? What's going to happen to that person? And so with Poker Face, we have a series that's sort of employing a case of the week sort of style of mystery, which, that's not really happening that much in today's sort of modern television landscape. We don't have that many detective series, and we definitely don't have that many series employing this sort of method. Again, Columbo was the most notable to do it, but that was such a long time ago in the 70s and the 80s. And so Rian Johnson, again, is doing something totally different than the cinematic work in the television medium. And I got a chance to check out the series. It just wrapped up with its 10th episode that debuted last week. And this is a phenomenal TV series. This is just an incredible, incredible first outing from Rian Johnson and Natasha Lyonne. It's such a gift to see a guy like Rian Johnson, who has not really made a bad movie at this point, but then he transitions into franchise work for a little bit there and does a Star Wars movie, comes out not unscathed because many people don't like The Last Jedi, but he's still able to rebound and produce, I think, his highest quality work in these past like 4 to 5 years with the Knives Out franchise and now Poker Face. And just the work that he's doing here is just absolutely incredible week to week. He noticeably directed the first 2 episodes and then also the 9th episode. Those are my favorite episodes of the season, by the way. But there's a different coterie of directors that come in, lots of different writers that come in and contribute to the story. And because this is a case of the week style mystery TV series, there's just a rotating cast of just incredibly stellar actors. It's really no reason for me to mention them because it's so many people, but there are so many Oscar nominated actors that just come into the sandbox week to week to play around. Recently, I will mention, we just talked about Stephanie Hsu and Hong Chow. They are both in the season, and it's great to see them pop up here and just contribute small roles, but meaningful roles to the stories that they're involved with. But really the standout here is Natasha Lyonne as the central figurehead. Her character, Charlie, has this unique ability where she's able to basically call out somebody if they're lying. It's almost like a supernatural ability. They don't really explain how she's able to do this, but she knows when people are lying. She's kind of like a human lie detector test. And so if somebody tells a lie, she immediately calls bullshit. She's able to tell how they're lying. So she herself is not a detective, but she has this ability to figure out crimes and to solve mysteries because of this natural sort of thing that she's able to implement week to week. And the premise is at the top of the series, she ultimately gets herself into some really hot water. She gets wrapped up into, sort of a really dark mystery with a casino owner in Reno, Nevada. And she ultimately has to end up on the run across the country to evade them and to stay away from them. And on her journey across the country, she comes across a colorful cast of new characters and help solve these mysteries. There are murderous crimes at every turn. You get everything from a family-owned barbecue in Texas to a pair of hippies living in an old retirement home who are looking for revenge on a guy. It's stuff that's just random like that because she's taking up all these different odd jobs. She's ending up in these really precarious situations that are random but still very entertaining that just give you a different flavor. It's almost semi anthology in that respect, because I think with the whole How Catch 'em sort of style of mystery that they're employing here, there are times in the episode where you don't see Natasha Lyonne for a long time. She might not pop up until 20, 25 minutes into the episode. And sometimes you miss her, but because these characters and the stories are so strong that they're building and crafting out week to week, I didn't find myself oftentimes missing her. I'm like, she's gonna pop up when we need her to, but right now I'm really invested into what I'm seeing right now because I just want to see like how dastardly this whole crime is gonna be. And so I just found this show to just be so entertaining. The writing is incredible. There's really clever and smart dialogue. It's funny. There's great humor here. I already talked about the really stellar cast here that they have. And some of my favorite episodes. I do also want to point out another episode, episode 8 called The Orpheus Syndrome, which feels like it creates and draws a lot of parallels to Rian Johnson's time working at Lucasfilm on the Star Wars movie, because there's a character in that particular episode that definitely feels like some sort of amalgamation of Kathleen Kennedy, who's the current president of Lucasfilm. And there's a stop motion animation company involved in that episode. So it feels like they are, kind of speaking to Industrial Light and Magic, the real life visual effects company. It just feels very pointed in that direction. And I love that he's just taking risks like that, because I think it's speaking to a previous time in his career where he was doing big franchise work, and so many people hate The Last Jedi for whatever reason. And he was catching a lot of the blame for that, I think unfairly so at many points in time. And so I think for him to shoehorn this in this series in this particular way was a really creative way to do that, to kind of speak to that particular time in his career. So overall, I can't recommend this series enough. Poker Face, it's really incredible. And it potentially might end up on my top 10 at the end of the year. It's that good. We'll have to see. Obviously, it's a long year ahead of us, but it's really that good between the writing, the acting, performances, and just the unique way that they employ the different cases week to week. It was a treat to watch.
Man, this was something I forgot to add when we were talking about most anticipated TV shows of this year, man. The trailers look good to me. Natasha Lyonne really is just one of those. I like to call them Orange is the New Black alumni. We talked about that off podcast a little bit, but she's one of the few that feels like she has had constant work ever since that show concluded. And so I'm really interested in everything that she does. I think she was in Russian Doll, I think, before this. I think it's the name of the show on Netflix. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see her. But her mixed with the premise of the show, mixed with Rian Johnson, really made me excited to watch it. So I still haven't watched it yet. I can't wait to watch it. But from everything you just said, I need to get on it and watch it, man. It really sounds like everything that I hoped that it would be. Something interesting that you said is like her not being on screen for like 25 minutes at the in the beginning of an episode or something. Like, I think that's so interesting and a hard thing to pull off right. And to me, that's just Rian Johnson's geniusness. You know what I mean? That, to me, that feels like only something somebody like Rian Johnson can pull off, because there is so many shows where there are moments where, I don't know, it's a flashback or something, or we're looking at somebody else, and the whole time you're like, all right, where's our main protagonist? So I think that's interesting that they were able to pull that off. I think that's pretty dope, man. But I really can't wait to check it out. I'm sure it is as amazing as you make it sound.
Well, folks, those are our thoughts on the brand new Peacock original series Poker Face. If you've checked out the series, definitely hit us up and let us know what you think.